Now, last week, the Ahmedabad crime branch arrested Teesta Setalvad for forgery and criminal conspiracy. But those charges were just the tip of the iceberg until an insider revealed more about the Frey Modi plot. In part one of our investigation in the Teesta files yesterday, a former associate, Rais Khan, revealed that Teesta was backed by the then UPA government and the Gandhi family. Today, in part two of our investigation, we reveal to you the complete paper trail. The trail that lands at the doorstep of the then UPA government. Times Now has accessed a clinching document, a set of documents, in fact, a handwritten note to release the funds for Teesta Setalvad's NGO, or rather a handwritten note to enable Teesta Setalvad and her NGO to be able to be eligible or to be selected by the GIAC. And this despite the fact that the NCRT had twice before rejected this particular NGO and its proposal. And this very clearly nails the unholy nexus. A grant of 1.4 crore that was given to Teesta Setalvad's NGO, and all of this was possible only by bending of rules in repeated manners by the officials in this particular case. The UPA government made sure that it happened despite the fact that the proposals were rejected several times by the NCRT, not once but twice. This handwritten note overruled the NCRT's red flag in 2010. 2 months later, the same year, directions were issued to consider Teesta's NGO. Was that not a quid pro quo? Well, the BJP believes Teesta Setalvad was just a puppet and that the real masterminds were present in the AICC headquarters in Delhi, a charge that Congress outrightly dismisses. Listen in.
कि तीस्ता सीतलवद केवल एक ब्रांच ऑफिस थी, जो हेड ऑफिस मुख्यालय था वो कांग्रेस पार्टी का दफ्तर और सोनिया गांधी खुद थी, जिनको इससे कोई मतलब नहीं था कि पीड़ितों को इंसाफ मिले। कांग्रेस पार्टी का एक ही मकसद था कि उनको राजनीतिक लाभ मिले।
मुझे लगता है इस चीज का जवाब हम पहले भी दे चुके हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी के व्यर्थ के एलिगेशंस का, मूर्खतापूर्ण बातों का इस मंच से मैं क्यों जवाब दूं? हमारे नेता वहां पर रहे, वो अपने आप में प्रमाण है।
That leads me to ask just one question on the Newshour tonight. Was Teesta rewarded for her ruined Modi plot?
You're watching the Newshour at 9, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Amit Malviya continues to be with us. Also with us is Rais Khan Pathan, who's an ex-aide of Teesta Setalvad. Sanjay Jha, author, is with us. Dr. Fuad Halim, spokesperson of the CPM, is with us. But I want to begin with Dr. Suman Siraman, who's a political analyst. Dr. Suman Siraman, these documents are quite damning because what they very clearly show is that how rules were not once, not twice, but on multiple occasions and in multiple ways actually bent, twisted out of shape, something that nobody else gets in terms of the eligibility for such kind of a contract or a grant, if I can put it that way, but for Teesta Setalvad's NGO, that is the Sabrang Trust. Do you think that this is not proof enough of a quid pro quo?
These are clearly not brand new documents. These are documents which have been available for many, many years. And now to sort of say that, you know, it's very convenient now that the lady has been taken into custody, very soon after that, quote-unquote, documents emerge on their own, which apparently appear to indict her. We've seen this pattern multiple times over the last few years, Madhav. And I think that whatever is being put out as quote-unquote evidence will have to wait for the court of law to decide it. But right now, the attempt through the media and channels such as yourself is to say that her being arrested has to be justified, or her being taken into custody has to be justified in some form or the other. And so documents which are quote-unquote clinching evidence will be put out periodically. But the script really has started to become a little stale. And perhaps there's a time for, a little bit of a twist.
Mr. Suman Siraman, you may have read a lot of material online, but I can assure you a lot that's come out today is stuff that has never come out before. And that includes what? That includes one second, Mr. Suman Siraman, please, you clearly have not perused the details. You have clearly not perused the details, otherwise you would not be making this comment. Let me bring in Rais Khan Pathan and maybe ask him. One second. You made opening statement, sir.
Answer
Now
my
listen
question.
in.
Where were these documents until now?
No, where were these documents is for perhaps the investigators, for others to have come out and put out in the public domain. We have accessed these documents. That does not mean that they were hidden in somewhere. It's just required to be accessed. And that's the entire point that we're making here. Were officials, were the babus, were the netas responsible for even covering this up? And the reason we are asking this question, Sumansi Raman, I refuse to be drawn into a side debate. And I want to bring in Rais Khan Pathan, a man who actually knows something about this issue. And let's bring him in. Mr. Rais Khan Pathan, in this entire issue, क्या मिस्टर सुमन रामन को आप बताना चाहेंगे कि सच्चाई क्या थी? बिकॉज हमारे पास एक रिपोर्ट है और एक जो पुलिस गुजरात की इंटरोगेट कर रही थी या तफ्तीश कर रही थी तीस्ता सेतलवाद की, उसमें यह बताया गया है कि एफआईटी की भी रिपोर्ट नहीं थी, ओरल ओपिनियन दिया गया। एनसीईआरटी ने तो अपना अप्रूवल दिया नहीं, साथ ही साथ जो फील्ड इन्वेस्टिगेशन टीम थी उनकी भी जो है क्लियरेंस नहीं थी। उसके बगैर इस तरह का अप्रूवल दिया जाना कितना सही है?
देखिए, सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये है कि हम कहेंगे कि विक्टिमों के साथ में एक विश्वासघात हुआ जो तीस्ता सेतलवाद ने किया है, जो नहीं होना चाहिए था। आज तक विक्टिमों को ये नहीं मालूम है कि उनके एफिडेविट जो है उसमें क्या लिखा गया था। ये तो एसआईटी के अंदर जाने के बाद मालूम पड़ा, जो उन्होंने एफिडेविट बनाए थे और वो जो उन्होंने स्टेटमेंट दिया तो उससे मैच नहीं खाता था। उन्होंने जो एफिडेविट में लिखा था वो किसी भी विक्टिम ने मानने से इनकार कर दिया। उन्होंने कहा ये हमारा एफिडेविट नहीं है, ना हमसे इस पर जो साइन कराए गए और हमको ये बताया गया कि आपने जो बताया था वो इसी में लिखा हो, क्योंकि वो जितने भी एफिडेविट होते थे वो सारे इंग्लिश में होते थे और वहाँ जो विक्टिम थे वो सारे थोड़ी बहुत गुजराती जानते थे, इंग्लिश जानने वाला कोई नहीं था। उसके अंदर उनके साथ में जो एफिडेविट बनाए गए वो सब फर्जी थे और झूठ बोल के बनाए गए थे और उनको भी झूठ बोला गया था। उनको कोई भी एफिडेविट की कॉपी नहीं दी गई थी कि वो किसी से पढ़वाते। उन्होंने कॉपी जब मांगी,
तो ये आप मानते हैं कि जो ग्रांट दिया गया केंद्र सरकार की तरफ से उस वक्त किसी तरह का इनाम था? क्या कहेंगे? ये जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स अब सामने आ रहे हैं, जैसे साफ पता चलता है कि सरकार ने सारे रूलों का उल्लंघन करते हुए इस तरह की ग्रांट दी थी उनके एनजीओ को, तो क्या ये साफ जाहिर होता है कि किसी तरह का क्विड प्रो को था इसमें?
देखिए, सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये है कि फर्जीवाड़ा हर चीज में हुआ है। फर्जीवाड़ा तो एफिडेविट के अंदर भी हुआ, फर्जीवाड़ा जो उनके लिए फंड आया था उसमें भी जो फर्जीवाड़ा हुआ। उन्होंने जो करोड़ों रुपए का फंड जमा करा विक्टिमों के नाम से, उसमें 1 रुपया भी उनको नहीं मिला। हर तरह से उनको सपोर्ट थी कांग्रेस की तरफ से, हर तरह से सपोर्ट थी उनको। उन्होंने कई एनजीओ बना के रखे हुए थे। उनके जो हस्बैंड हैं जावेद आनंद साहब, उन्होंने भी बहुत सारे एनजीओ बना के रखे हुए थे। उनका कॉम्बैट न्याय मंच, सिटीजन फॉर जस्टिस एंड पीस, सबरंग ट्रस्ट, सबरंग कुछ और नाम से भी, मतलब ये, और कम से कम नहीं तो 8 से 10 उनके हस्बैंड जो है जावेद आनंद साहब, उन्होंने बना के रखे हुए थे। तो अब उसकी तरफ से ये जो है, जो एफिडेविट, जो बाहर से पैसा आया करता था, वो सारे जगहों पर जितने एनजीओ थे उतने एनजीओ में सारा पैसा चला जाता था। विक्टिमों को कोई पैसा नहीं मिलता था।
There's a history to this and that's why we are debating this. And let me begin
सोसाइटी का जब तक मामला करें, गुलबर्ग सोसाइटी की बात करता हूं।
जी आपके पास मैं आऊंगा, उन सारी डिटेल्स के बारे में आपसे पूछूंगा, लेकिन संजय झा के पास मैं जाना चाह रहा हूं। उससे पहले संजय झा, the simple points in this entire matter, are very clear. If you look at each document, and there are multiple documents that we have accessed, this is supposed to be the field inspection report of the field inspection team. And this has not been signed even by the state government representative. It is just signed by the central government representative, one Ms. Seema Rajput, despite the fact that apparently in the meeting, there was an opinion given, no report being given, an opinion being given by one of the team members who's from the Maharashtra Education Board. It's as blatant as that the violations are that are being exposed in these documents here today. Rules not just bent, but bent so completely out of shape that one wouldn't recognize them.
Madhav, let me tell you that I'm aware of this case in minute and intricate detail, being a Congress spokesperson in the year 2013. Let me give you some very short responses to all the accusations that are currently being made against Teesta Setalvad. Number one, this is the old BJP playbook. I call it as a sense of deja vu, and I'll tell you why. It actually prompted the Supreme Court in 2012 to say, because the Gujarat government was just filing FIRs against her left, right and center. the Supreme Court, and the same Supreme Court which has now, passed a very severe stricture, but of course that time there were different judges, they said that the cases against her were malafide. They said the FIR against her is a violation of human rights. That was in another case, of course. And actually, at the end of the day, they even went to the extent of saying that all the investigation against her looks extremely spurious. These are the words of the Supreme Court. Now, Mr. Pathan, Mr. Rais Khan Pathan, has made a lot of statements against Teesta Setalvad. But does Mr. Pathan know that Teesta Setalvad's NGO, which basically is trying to provide legal support to the victims of the religious crimes that happened, they successfully convicted, through the courts, of course, roughly over 100 people. So to say that her NGO was a fraud, actually, on the other hand, her NGO successfully convicted.
Nobody is doubting any conviction, Sanjay Jha, but does that mean that they are entitled to these grants by breaking all the rules of the land?
No, rather, let me answer that. Let that be part of a forensic investigation. I mean, ultimately, I'm sure even Teesta would love to make sure that her name is cleared, because nobody wants a stigma or an accusation to tarnish their reputation. But I can tell you prima facie, based on what I know of the case, having had access to a lot of papers when I was with the Congress, that there has been 8 or 9 cases filed against her since 2003. And she's not been convicted even one time. She's got bail on every occasion. And I'm very confident that she's been used to the harassment.
Okay, this is just harassment. Amit Malviya, Sanjay Jha says this is just harassment, that this has been investigated multiple times. I don't know of any detailed investigation. Yes, there was a panel that was formed during the NDA-2 government to look into this entire issue. But if that is indeed the case, why has all this information not come out in the public domain in the past, and why has action not been taken? Amit Malviya.
I understand that the Congress has suspended Sanjay Jha, but his proclivities for the party and the ideology hasn't changed, which is quite refreshing to know. But I want to remind him that when cases move in the judicial system, sometimes a higher court or a larger bench overturns the decision of the previous court or the bench because some facts have come to light and certain details were overlooked in the previous judgment, which is exactly what seems to have happened in the case of Teesta Setalvad. In 2012, certain observations were made. They were not cast in stone, because after that, a lot of more information, data, and of course, details have emerged in the public domain purely because the Congress got voted out and all the cover-up that they had tried to do got exposed. The particular document that you put out today is about her NGO getting grants through this NCRT out of turn and without adequate paperwork. Well, there have been several such instances, and all of them have been brought to light at some point in time. And some of these irregularities are quite a shocker, because they involve FERA violation, they involve donations from sources that are otherwise precluded for domestic activism and so on and so forth. So she has been found wanting on several accounts. I completely agree with what Rais Khan Pathan is saying about how she fudged several affidavits in the name of victims. In fact, you remember, there was this big narrative about a certain woman's womb being split open through a knife or something, and her fetus flung in the air. The fact is that no such thing ever happened. And doctors have gone on to record to say that something like this is actually not even possible. But Teesta Setalvad and her band of Congress and the communist spokespeople, people in the media, people in various positions in the government actually aided this narrative quite effectively from 2002 till 2014. And of course, when the Congress went out of power, the entire patronage network collapsed and things started to come out. Courts had more evidences to look at, and they have arrived at the conclusion that they have basis all the additional information that has come out.
Right.
Now, let me be very clear. People like Teesta Setalvad, R B Sreekumar, Sanjiv Bhatt are going to have to face the law of this land. The truth is that you have for such a long time built these castles on false narratives, patronage, illicit funding, all of this is going to come out, and you will have to account for all the sins that you've committed. Because clearly your agenda was not to help the victims, your agenda was more political, and it was meant to malign Chief Minister Narendra Modi and somehow stop him in the track. Last point, Madhav. The fact is that Teesta Setalvad comes from an elite family owing her allegiance to the Congress party. This rotten elite network that the Congress has created over generations is now collapsing, and Teesta is just a manifestation of that.
Okay, let me come back to the documents, because I think I want to stick to the documents. The other political debate, the larger political debate, has been on for a while now. Whether this is witch hunt, whether there is solid evidence, perhaps can be debated by political parties. But before I go to Dr. Fuad Halim, I just want to quickly read out 2 or 3 sentences from this one particular document, just to illustrate the level of where the rules were being bent, because I think that is a point that we've not hit on, and certainly I want to bring out in more and greater detail. So please bear with me for just 1 minute, Dr. Fuad Halim. I'm going to read out, and this is a letter of the Ministry of Human Resource Development. It talks about Sabrang Trust Mumbai, who have submitted a proposal for financial assistance under innovative and experimental education scheme. Now it says that a copy of this proposal has been sent to NCRT for comments. NCRT is of the view that the project may be resubmitted, incorporating the observations about the viability of the project. The report received from NCRT sent to the VA, which is the voluntary agency, with a request to resubmit their proposal. The comments received from the VA again forwarded to NCRT for desk appraisal report. Now the screening committee of NCRT has scrutinized and did not recommend the proposal, despite the fact that twice NCRT has perused this and has not recommended the proposal of the Sabrang Trust. What do we see happen next? Right below, in handwriting, there is a file annotation which says that the proposal may be placed before the GAIC meeting to be held on 9/8/2010. Who is the official? There are multiple signatures on this one particular page, and I don't know which is the official who has signed or written this particular page. Perhaps forensic experts or handwriting analysts can do that. But the question is this: if it has so clearly been denied by the NCRT, who is the official who is supporting this person? Why? The reasons at least should be mentioned. But that's not the case here, sir. Dr. Fuad Halim.
Yeah. Do I get to speak my point of view, or should I fall into track with your
comments? Your comments to the question that I raised would be good, sir, because we are debating these fresh documents.
Yeah, number one, my first question is, are these documents basis enough to put somebody into jail? So the question is very clear. Now you please answer that. The second question is that whatever these documents
our job is to bring out
not been the foundation for
which in fact, whether it is Teesta Setalvad or others, have to answer.
See, Madhav, don't try to act smart. Don't try to act smart.
You asked me a question, I answered
you
that
understand
question
English? I categorically said
many of your questions,
that
Mr.
is it grounds enough to put anybody to jail?
Why not? Why not? It's taxpayer money.
Is this grounds to put anybody into jail?
Why not, sir?
For you, it's okay.
Sir, simple question.
Number one. Number two, because Amit Malviya didn't ask for that.
Whether there are
because on your program
reasons,
just now, Amit Malviya was very, very guarded with the words he used. And the reason why, let me finish.
If there is
the reason why he used very, very guarded words. Will you let me talk?
Will
you let me talk?
Listen to the responses, sir. Be brave enough.
Will you let me talk, or you want to continue your monologue?
You want answers or you want to talk? First decide that.
No, I haven't spoken for even 30 seconds.
Then speak, then say that.
Go ahead. Are you willing to give me time? Yes or no?
I am, sir. If you ask me questions, I will respond. But go ahead, since you want to speak.
Now the question is very clear. That this is, so you want to continue? Do you want to continue? Do you want to continue?
Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours, please.
You know, Modi is doing it in the country. His police is doing it across the nation. You want to do it on Times Now? Go ahead.
I'm doing nothing of the sort.
We will fight you on the road. We will fight you on your channel. We will fight you in election. We will fight you outside election.
But please go ahead and answer the question.
If you want me to talk, you allow me to talk. You don't want me to talk. You don't want me to talk. I will not talk.
Mr. Halim,
it's your program.
Mr. Halim,
BJP sponsored. Go ahead.
The floor is yours.
Have a field day. But if you want me to talk, you let me talk. Yeah. Number one, the moot point is this grounds enough to arrest somebody? Let's be very clear, categorically. This The investigation agency has not concluded upon to be grounds to be arrested because the FIR has not been written as of now. Let's be very clear. So there is impropriety if you put this document up on your network and you create the impression that this is the ground on which the arrest should be taking place. Okay? So I disagree with you. And this is where India's constitution is being perverted. The projection of certain things and what action the government is doing based on those projections need to be clearly identified. The government, the police has acted absolutely in contravention of the Constitution of India, of individual rights. Number two, the Supreme Court, three-bench court, has said that people who have participated in this process should be brought under the book of law. An SIT formed by the Supreme Court, is it possible to take it under review by the Supreme Court itself? Is the Supreme Court trying to create the impression that a special investigation team formed by the Supreme Court, its conclusions can't be reviewed or asked for review by a citizen of India? Is our judicial process moving in that direction? These are the core questions that need to be asked today, and these are the core questions that need to be debated.
Okay.
I want to know from the BJP spokesperson categorically that if the Supreme Court forms an SIT,
Dr. Halim, you may believe that the Supreme Court should act in one particular manner, or the court should only take one-sided action. You're entitled to your belief, sir. You're entitled to believe, but new information, if it comes out in the public domain, it will be debated, even if the debate is uncomfortable for you. I'm merely stating the facts over here. I'm merely stating the facts. You can attack me for stating the facts. You may attack me for stating facts that you don't find comfortable, and you're entitled to that. But let me quickly bring in Amit Malviya on the points that you've made. You made some points as far as the court is concerned. The court has made some positions. The court has made its position, Amit Malviya. Okay, you've made your point. Now let's listen to others also.
Yeah, definitely.
Amit Malviya, questions being raised by Fuad Halim that the court has made certain positions and that position cannot be changed from here on. The only question that I am asking, one second, Dr. Halim, you made your point, now let others also come in. Let BJP answer the questions that you raised.
Against by the Supreme Court.
Sir, you don't want the BJP to answer questions that you are raising?
Yes.
You want this to be a monologue?
No, I'm beating because you're beating around the bush.
I'm not beating around any bush. I'm putting the question to Mr. Malviya. Let me do that, please. For heaven's sake.
Go to the core issues. Go
Amit
to the judicial
Malviya,
questions.
4 questions being asked here by Dr. Fuad Halim, and he has, of course, stated that the Supreme Court has made its position clear. Can that be reviewed? Please answer those questions.
First of all, I'm not quite sure if Mr. Halim understands that Teesta might not have been arrested for the particular document that you put out, because the list of sins of Teesta Setalvad is so long that perhaps Mr. Halim will take many days to go through the list. She has been possibly arrested for other crimes and not for the document that you put out. Point number one. Point number two, it's not unusual for the usual suspects to question the court if the verdict is not in their favor. So if this argument is being made that whether Supreme Court appointed SIT's observation is open for question, of course, 20 years down the line when the judgment has not gone in your favor and the judgment has exonerated Prime Minister Modi with full honors, you're naturally livid about it and you want a way to castigate the Supreme Court. I hope the judges of the Supreme Court are watching Mr. Fuad Halim and probably take it as contempt of the court, because him and his ilk and the ecosystem has tried really very hard. But if you failed after 20 years, you should just pack your bags and sit aside. Because the fact is that your
as an individual, as a political party,
people have failed to deliver. And now as a consequence of it, Teesta is going to face the music. So while Mr. Fawad Ali...
All right, gentlemen, I have to intervene over here. I think these are some simple facts that we've put out. Unfortunately, there are all sorts of opinions that we are seeing, political and otherwise, that are being shared. Simple point that I'm making over here. Yes, Dr. Fuad Halim, you asked me a question whether this requires some kind of legal action or arrest. Perhaps it's for the investigating agencies to best decide. All we can see is that there are some very pertinent questions that Ms. Setalvad and her agency, Sabrang Trust, has to answer in this particular set of documents that we've put out. What justifies the arrest? Perhaps the agencies that have arrested her would very well know or would best know. Let me leave it at that for the moment because we have some breaking news coming in. All right, and this is big news coming in after the huddle with the BJP's top brass. In fact, Devendra Fadnavis, they're seen in those pictures. He's at the Raj Bhavan now in Mumbai. So this has been a very, very quick day, a whirlwind tour of the national capital for Devendra Fadnavis, the former chief minister, and now he's meeting the governor with the MLAs. Radhika is with us for more on this. Radhika, what are we expecting to see? Is Devendra Fadnavis going to ask for an early floor test? What is he going to be doing at the moment when he meets with the governor? What exactly is the position of the BJP?
Yes, this is a very, very crucial development as far as government formation is concerned. Yes, Devendra Fadnavis, after his meeting in Delhi, he has come back to Mumbai and now he's at the governor's house. He's at Raj Bhavan. He is with a few of the leaders of the BJP, including Chandrakant Patil, Girish Mahajan, and a few other leaders are with him. And as you mentioned, yes, this could be to call for a trust vote, to call for a floor test. He must have gone there with the numbers in his hand, perhaps with signatures of all the MLAs, not just from his side, but also from Eknath Shinde's side. And therefore, he would be seeking for a floor test from the governor.
Okay. All right, Radhika, we'll keep tracking all those developments there and we'll keep coming back to you for more updates on the story. For the moment, we're going to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us on the News Hour this evening.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break.
Co-powered by JK Puncture Guard Tire, अब हवा नहीं निकलेगी.
It's time to break free. Break away from the routine to the greens and get lost in the world within. To steer through, to stop. Start again. Go forth and just let it all go. With JK Tyres Ranger 80 for the ones who are wild at heart. JK Tyre, total control.
Water, induced with immunity of vitamin C.
Introducing Faber Seaguard, RO with vitamin C filter. Now water provides immunity.
I have 12 men flying home with caskets right now. This is personal. This is set up. I need names. Stay off my list.
Watch The Terminal List only on Amazon Prime Video.
खुल के जीने का बदल रहा है अंदाज मैक्स बूपा के नए अवतार के साथ नीवा बूपा हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस.
मैं कर रहा हूँ जिंदगी को क्लेम और आप
जिंदगी को क्लेम कर ले.
OLX ऑटो से देता है आपकी कार का बेस्ट प्राइस. सुनीता, सुना तुमने ये क्या बोल रहे हैं?
यही कि OLX ऑटोज देता है आपकी कार का बेस्ट प्राइस. ये प्राइस ही नहीं सरप्राइज है. विजिट olxautos.in.
You're watching the News Hour at 9.